Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this video. Welcome to News and Views by Doug. This is my channel where I talk about my opinions and observations of world events, politics, and pretty much anything else I feel like talking about. Hey folks, breaking news. Around 10 a.m. Pacific Coast time. Today is July 31st, and some breaking news. So at the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego, around 10 a.m., a Marine Corps F-35 just crashed near the runway. The pilot did eject and was recovered. We don't know if the pilot has any injuries, but the plane's destroyed, and you'll see it here in the video.
Screen taking you out there to San Diego, California. As you can see, these images just now coming into our newsroom as smoke is now billowing from what is being described as a crash there at the Marine Corps Air Station in Miramar. We do know that some of our partners there at Fox 5 there in the San Diego area say that Marine officials have confirmed that an emergency personnel are now responding to a F-35 aircraft mishap that happened on a flight line. They say that the aircraft was assigned to the 3rd Marine Air Wing and Marine Air Group 11. The fire is in an area of the base it is east of the runways near the intersections there of Johnson Road and Kearney Villa Road. Footage, though, from the news helicopter, as you can see there on your screen, are showing some of the heavy smoke and what appears to be a burned aircraft near that base. You can just see on your screen how long of that area where that burned aircraft might have traveled through in the area that is now surrounding it.
Now, the first thing I want to state, I apparently gave out some misinformation the other day when we were talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. I had said that it didn't go through the testing and it was given to people. And I was corrected by Mr. John Jarvis, who called me a liar, said I was lying about the whole thing. Well, John, I do apologize. You were right. You know, when I'm wrong, I admit it. I try to be unbiased as possible. Now, I did a little bit of research and I found out that there are 3 stages to getting any kind of medication vaccine approved by the FDA. It normally takes 10 to 15 years before any vaccine is approved by the FDA. But during the COVID-19, all those stages were done within 11 months. What normally takes 10 to 15 years only took 11 months, with the federal government giving these emergency, what do we call them? Excuses and not excuses, but the federal government approved it. But again, normally 10, 15 years, but for COVID-19 and Dr. Anthony Fauci, 11 months. But I stand by everything else that I talked about with COVID-19. So I was wrong. I apologize, Mr. Jarvis. I try not to lie on my channel. So yesterday we showed you video, and we'll show you more video, of what was happening to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta in Africa, northern Africa, which is right across from Spain in the Mediterranean. And the same thing started happening in a second enclave that that Spain has in Melilla.
No Marruecos, viva España, viva!
Now, Spain has these small territories in the north of Morocco because Spain used to have Morocco as a colony. And when they gave Morocco their independence, they kept a couple of coastal enclaves. Now, Quetta has a population of about 83 to 85,000 Spaniards. The Spanish Supreme Court made a law that if you land in any of the enclaves, so if you make it in there, that you can't be deported without Spanish due process. So the other day, up to 65,000 Moroccans and North Africans broke into the enclave, and you'll see the video again today. Now, the one thing I noticed, they were mostly military-aged males. But the other thing I observed that no one else spoke about was that most of them had no type of luggage. Most of them were wearing shorts and T-shirts as they invaded the enclave. And what did they do that night? They looted. They robbed. And there were reports that there are up to 34 Spaniards dead.
lá, às vezes se olhar.
Now, on the original day, Sanchez, I don't know if he's a president or prime minister of Spain, he said he wasn't going to send the military. He wasn't going to aid these autonomous territories of Spain. But it got so bad that now he's sending troops.
يلا انا جاي نشوف هاد العافيه. والله تلعب بزاف يلا اخا
Spain's North African enclave of Ceuta is facing its largest migration crisis since 2021. Spanish authorities estimate that up to 49,000 migrants entered the city from Morocco within the past 24 hours, including around 7,000 minors. Violent clashes erupted along the Moroccan border as large groups of migrants forced their way through security barriers. Spanish and Moroccan security forces responded with tear gas and water cannons in an effort to contain the breach. The unprecedented influx has overwhelmed parts of Ceuta that has a population of 83,000, with migrants spreading across the city. Local reports describe widespread disorder, including looting of shops and unrest in the streets, as authorities struggle to regain control. Videos circulating on social media appear to show large crowds of migrants from Morocco crossing into Ceuta. Additional footage shows clashes between migrants and security forces, as officers use water cannons to disperse the crowds while some migrants throw objects at police during the confrontation. Spain is preparing a large-scale security operation, deploying additional military personnel and equipment to reinforce the border and halt further illegal crossings. The crisis has also triggered political shockwaves across Europe. Italy is considering reintroducing border controls with Spain by suspending Schengen free movement between the two countries, while Finnish officials have voiced support for Rome's tougher stance on the Ceuta migration emergency.
And many of these invaders either left on their own or were forced back into Morocco. But they also hit the small town of Melilla, and causing damage there. Now, the amazing thing is, we kind of found out the truth. Nothing happens in Morocco without the Moroccan government knowing about it, approving or disapproving of things. As it turns out, Morocco was emptying out their prisons. Where have you heard this before? And they sent these convicts and told them to go into these Spanish territories. When I said, have you heard about this before? We know that Venezuela did the same thing to the United States. They were sending their convicts here. People that have murdered, raped, robbed, all types of criminals. One man was interviewed from Morocco, and he was asked, "Why are you here?" And he said, "I'm an engineer." And they said, "Well, then why are you here?" He said, "Oh, I was convicted of murder, so I'm trying to escape." Well, again, they burned cars, they burned buildings, they looted businesses, and they just ran around. I mean, they literally doubled the population of the enclave. Spaniards paid the price because their leftist government wouldn't defend them. So now the military has gone in, and you'll see a video of that. And you'll see these Moroccans going south again, back into Morocco. And supposedly the Moroccan Navy is trying to help the Spanish Navy from stopping many of the migrants from swimming around the wall. Just amazing. Well, Iran is continuing to send drones and missiles into Kuwait and other places in the Middle East. And these missiles and drones are being shot down, reportedly. Haven't heard of any U.S. strikes, but I could be wrong. But, you know, President Trump hit that mountain where they're storing all their nuclear material, all the uranium, the enriched uranium. Strike it and let's get this thing over with. we're finding out that China is sending arms to Iran. And most of these are shoulder-fired, ground-to-air missiles. So they're trying to shoot down our planes. So switching gears, I have a question for you folks. You know, we see all these liberals and democratic socialists, and they're all bitching about how ICE has killed several illegal aliens. You know, people that illegally broke into this country and then tried to run over the agents while the agents were trying to arrest them. And they're all bitching and whining about it. They're protesting. They're creating disturbances. What about all the American citizens that have been killed by the illegals? Has anyone protested that? Has anybody rioted over that? Does anybody on the left care about the American citizens that have been killed by illegals? That have been raped by illegals? That have been robbed by illegals? ICE, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. Now, I'm going to show you a crazy video. And it's one of the co-chair people of the Democratic Socialists of America and what their plans are for the United States of America. This is what they plan on doing if they ever seize power.
Prominent Democrat voices pushing back on the growing influence of the Democratic Socialist candidates they say are ultimately going to hurt the Democrat Party. So let's talk about it with the national co-chair of the Democratic Socialists of America, Megan Romer. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Shannon.
Okay, so there's this growing conversation about whether you can exist within the party, whether you want to upend it for your own purposes, a totally different platform. The Daily Economy quotes you saying this at a DSA convention last year. We will win by making conditions so intolerable for the ruling class that they would rather give in to our demands than continue to live with the disturbance we cause until we are able to fully seize power ourselves. Is that aimed at the Democrat Party?
It's aimed from the working class to the ruling class. So the two-party duopoly, the two corporate parties, it is aimed at both of them, and it comes from the working class.
So should Van Jones and Rahm Emanuel and James Carville and all of the establishment Democrats be worried about DSA plans from within their tent?
The establishment Democrats should be worried about the voters and about what the voters think and about what the constituency thinks. And right now they have not been delivering, and our candidates are and have been, and it's resonating with voters.
So Jamie Harrison, who was the DNC chair, after you guys had such a big night in New York City and knocking off some of those incumbents and having success with your candidates in the congressional primaries, he said, if you hate the Democratic Party, then don't run for our nomination. Don't use our resources. Don't rely on our volunteers. Don't use our infrastructure. Focus on building the party you actually support. Other Democrats out there saying this is a separate party, the DSA. You don't belong within the party. How do you respond to his statements there?
Yeah, I mean, the two parties have, over years and decades, created a system where ballot line access is extremely difficult for third parties. I also have been told a lot of times by Democrats, don't vote third party, it's wasting your vote. So we run on the Democratic ballot line where it makes sense. We run independents sometimes where that is a viable possibility, but it's a ballot line. And what matters is what the voters think, and the voters are overwhelmingly choosing our candidates.
They certainly did in New York and in other places, Colorado and others. It's not just a big city phenomenon or just a blue coastal phenomenon. Sure. Okay, so we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform. And I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay, replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then let's go back through some of those then. Abolish the Senate. There are people who are in the Senate now who are very supportive of DSA. They lose their seats?
Well, the Senate is an anachronistic institution. It comes from the British House of Lords. It is made to protect power for, the Senate was part of the system that was made to make sure that the people didn't have too much of a say. So we want to expand Congress significantly, but make it a unicameral legislature.
Okay, and without the presidency and Supreme Court, so abolish ICE. Would there be any enforcement of immigration laws, or with abolishing the border, we're not enforcing immigration laws, they go away?
Yeah, so again, this is part of this longer term plan, and part of it
But if you
includes,
can get there.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get to the place where the U.S. is not destabilizing countries in order to mine them for resources, there will be significantly less migration.
What do you say to
if
those,
we are
though,
not...
that would potentially destabilize the U.S.? Because there's only so much the economy can bear, and when you have a flood of people coming in, it might not work out economically, according to a lot of analyses, if you just open up the borders and there's no enforcement at all.
Well, we're not saying open the borders tomorrow. We're saying rebuild
But
an
eventually.
economy and a society that works for everyone. And the open borders is part of a longer-term international plan that involves us stopping destabilizing countries. Most people who are coming to this country are coming as economic refugees, and we destabilized their country. We did that.
Well, a lot of, if you look at data, the Center for Immigration Studies says right now the households here in the U.S. that are headed up by people who are here illegally, nearly 61% of them are on some type of government or welfare program here in the U.S. Can we afford to do that? I mean, at some point you run out of resources.
Well, right now we make it very difficult for people to participate in society in such a way that they can avoid using services. So we want people to be able to work and live and go to school and actually participate, which means contributing to society and also getting what they need from society. It's a collective choice we can all make.
So if we talk about abolishing prisons, then does that make society better? I mean, is there anybody that should be incarcerated? I mean, rapists, child predators, murderers?
Yeah, so the long-term plan, when we think about most people who are in prison, they are mostly in prison for crimes of poverty.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the really, the
I hear
murderers
you.
and
So
rapists of the
when
world.
so when we get rid of this need for crimes of poverty to exist, when we get rid of that destabilizing force that creates so many people who are living in desperate situations and doing desperate things, that brings those numbers down to very small numbers, and then we can collectively decide what we do with those people. I suspect it won't look like the prison system as we know it today.
Okay, but you do think some people need to be locked away from society?
Some people are not able to be functional members of society. That's true. But what does that look like to keep the rest of us safe? We're talking about safety. We're not talking about punishment. We're talking about making sure that we're safe, everybody's safe, everybody maintains their dignity, and everybody maintains their humanity.
Okay, so much more to discuss. I hope that you will come back, especially as we figure out what the party does with respect to you, meaning the Democrat Party, in your role in it, and in 2028 especially. Megan Frommer, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
There's a law in the country, a federal law, banning the Communist Party from the United States. We need to enforce that law. The Democratic Socialists of America is the new Communist Party in the United States. And the thing is, honestly, they're getting elected, and this needs to stop. The U.S. people need to rise up and stop this communist play, who's being sponsored by China. Okay, let's go to Maine. Maine had a problem with Graham Plattner. This guy was running on the Democratic side to become the new U.S. Senator in Maine. And he was doing pretty well with the Democratic voters. Then it was exposed that he was a Nazi, abused women, cheated on his wife, and may have even been trying to talk to young teens online. Well, the Democratic Party asked him to step down from running for U.S. Senator. So he did. What'd they replace him with? This guy.
Hey everyone, it's Troy Jackson.
Troy Jackson. Now, the people of Maine didn't put him up for running for office. The Democratic Party in Maine put him in. You know, just like when Joe Biden was taken off the voter ballot after he was voted in by the Democratic Party. They removed Biden and they put Kamala Harris in his stead without going to the people. It was the party that put her in. She was never voted for to run for president on the Democratic ticket. Well, same thing with this guy, Troy Jackson. People of Maine didn't. They didn't put him in. But now word's coming out. He has 2 children. Their mother is his cousin. Yep. He's with his cousin. Don't you just love inbreds?
From the last time when we talked about Graham Plattner, now we're talking about another guy who's got all kinds of allegations coming out against him now. He was the Speaker of the House or the Senate leader or something. Now he's your Democrat Senate nominee, trailing Collins in the polls. But now we've got kind of a gross story coming out about his kids or second cousins or something. What the hell's what's going on here in Maine, Jim?
Well, John, I've put in a new word in my vocabulary. I think I'm a well-read man and well-educated, but consanguinity is now a word in my vocabulary. Being descended by the same ancestor. Looks like candidate Jackson grew up in high school in the small area and you can't get any further north in Maine than at the Allagash area. And he dated his cousin through high school, and they've been living together ever since and have 2 children. They are second cousins. I don't believe it's illegal in Maine, but the Catholic Church, which he was part of, looked down on it. They never got married, and it's just a mess. It's the Democratic Party in Maine is just collapsing on themselves, and they don't do their due diligence by going through these people. Troy Jackson is a known entity here in Maine. Graham Plattner was a nobody when he first showed up on the radar here, but not Troy Jackson. He's been around making mistakes left and right. He's got a long history in Maine, and you're going to see a lot more come out shortly.
Okay, folks, so that's it for the day. The weekend's up. I hope you have a great weekend. But again, as I always say, be safe. Be aware of your surroundings. Take care of yourself, your family, your friends. If you see something, say something. There's a lot of bad people out there that want to hurt us. So, I wish you to have a happy weekend. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you.